that's very obvious. I mean, we should not be doing that. I mean, stripping, let me put it to you, stripping one American, just one, of any kind of freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to assemble, freedom of the press. Just a little bit of taken away from that freedom from one American, just one. It's for all Americans. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense of what I'm trying to say here. Because it seems like people are having a hard time understanding that, oh, they can't have free speech. They can't stand up and express themselves against the federal government. And that's stripping them of the rights that you're going to be stripping yourself of too. You know, just why? Because you think you don't have freedom of expression, you don't have freedom of speech, or you do, but it's not going to be the same speech that they have. And so since it's against your own speech, then it should be considered to be evil. So we can't just make up things like that and think that we're not going to be affected by it. You know, if we're going to allow the federal government to dictate what it is that freedom of expression is, we're going downhill. That's not America anymore. That's a whole new shindig. I mean, I don't even know how, as an American tier, how we can fight or battle or go against something like that. If it goes that direction, that's strong. That's changing the Constitution. That's just changing the rules of America, of what makes us America. The beautiful part of America. And I know right now we're supposed to be living in a golden era, like things are supposed to be going really good. You know, I have yet to really feel that, but it's just with me, with American Tears, it's a state of mind, right? We're on a higher frequency, so it's always going to be good. You know, good. It doesn't mean that America is at its best, but we as individuals are strong. We are resilient. We are American Tears. We can wake up and face our day with no problem, understanding that change is going to happen with or without us. But we want to change things in a better way. And first and foremost, not strip Americans or just even one American of their rights. Because we are stripping everyone of the same right. You know, and if people think it's okay for this ICE to go in to small communities and take over and take people away and tear gas Americans, you're saying that if that happens to one American, that's happening to all Americans. You can't just sit on one side and say, well, I'm not doing that. I'm not illegal. I was born in America, you know, so I don't have nothing to worry about. Those things can change really fast. It can go to a whole other level, you know, and to strip and to personally just be an American and just look at other Americans and say, you can't do that. That's insane. Of course they can do that. That's what makes America America. And just like you can do things too. We can all do something. And with American Tears, we all want to do something positive, something productive. Work on real solutions. You know, so, you know, if these demonstrations and protests are working, then more power to them. I want them to work. You know, I think people should, more and more Americans should speak up and do something about it, you know, like just by changing your mindset or coming to an agreement. Like we understand that we're in this together. We're all in this together, you know, so it's not, when it comes to us in our society, in our community, we are in this together. You know, that, and watching the protests that are happening in Portland and in Chicago is amazing. I think it's great, you know. And if other people have something else different to say, they can show up too. I don't have a problem with that. You know, they can set up their little home camp and say, we believe in ICE, or we believe in federal government taking over, because you're going to be stripped of the same rights as protesters are too. You know, you just don't know it yet, but you will be. The coolest thing about it all is and this is a little bit on the silly side but I love this part is in Portland with the wearing of costumes to these protests. It's just outrageous. I laugh so hard when I see that frogman guy, you know, the frog costumes. And today I was just watching, and there was like 7 other characters joining in, doing the same thing. And I for some reason, it makes me laugh. It made me laugh so hard in a good way. Not laughing at them. I am laughing with them. I am understanding that they are saying this is silly. And therefore they are being silly about it. And and I don't know how anybody else feels when they look at that. They probably think it's dumb or stupid. But I think that's the real American right there. Those are real Americans wearing those costumes and doing that. Because they see a bigger picture. They're on a different frequency, you know, of what's going on there by doing that, you know. So, anyways, I think that's the funny and the cool part about what I'm seeing on the protest. And if you're out there doing it and you're standing up for your rights as an American, like every American has, we have the same rights. If you're doing it, go for it, do it. I encourage you. You know, wear a costume. You know, as an American cheer, I would show up in a suit. I think everyone should show up in suits. Myself, you know, I think that's a real powerful American cheer movement. You know, if we come marching in, you know, at 50, 100, all wearing suits, like good suits, nice suits, you know, not making fun of it, not being silly, but being serious and letting America know that we are some serious individuals. You know, we are educated individuals. We are critical thinkers. You know, we believe in our freedom. And that is an American cheer, to be steadfast and to stand up and to keep moving forward. So join American Cheers. You know, some people will refer to this new thing that's movement. I've heard, you know, people call it the purple movement. And the purple movement is sort of saying that, you know, taking the red and the blue and mix them together and become to an agreement. And that's the same thing as American Cheer. I would never call it a purple movement, but I agree on the concept, because that is the middle ground. You know, so join the American Cheers. Let's form a middle ground that we can speak volumes with. Wearing silly costumes or suits, you know, one of the two. Because they're, you know, it's the same thing. Anyways, talk to you later.